Hey everybody, welcome to this week's edition of Gaming Golf. Jeff Erickson here with Jeff Ritter and Scott Jenstad. Fresh off the Olympic break, we had the 3M Open and all its grandeur before that. We got the WGC Memphis. Looking forward to that. Guys, how are you?
I'm great. Feeling rested. I'm not jet lagged from Tokyo like half the field in this week's tournament I suspect might be, but it's good to be back. Had a little break there. I got into the Olympic golf. I don't know about you guys, but I always this is the second straight Olympics where I felt like I was going to be kind of, I don't know about bored by it, but I wasn't really that fired up for it. And then it immediately sucked me in. I thought it was great.
Yeah, it was fun. I had Mito Pereira at about 50. I think it was 55-1. So I had a little bit of a good sweat going there. I had Rory too, so I had two guys that finished in the tie for third. I had no Xander. He went off really low odds by the time I looked at it. But yeah, doing well here too. Looking forward to this tournament. It's a really, really good field. We have 48 of the top 50 golfers in the world at this field, so it's a really fun tournament.
It is. So, and I'm I was wondering if anybody might drop out because of the jet lag factor. It's like, it's like asking players, it's worse than asking them to go like Saudi Arabia and come back. This is even harder, I think.
Don't you just go hit one tee shot first because you get paid with no cut and not a guaranteed money here too.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good point.
I wonder if anybody shoots 78 and drops out the first day that came off the Olympics. I think that's very possible.
So you get paid even if you withdraw, huh?
One tee shot in WGCs, yeah.
Wow. Good gig to be good at golf. I mean, you earned that spot, I guess. But still, that's pretty awesome. Let's just jump right into it. So first of all, smaller field, which means all that comes with that, no cut. It means that you can kind of be a little bit more aggressive. Perhaps some of the lesser priced golfers are still pretty darn good golfers, except for maybe the very, very bottom. But how do you approach a tournament like this versus like our normal weekly tournament? Scott, we'll start with you.
Yeah, but I think you made the point. I think if you want to go stars and scrubs, it makes a little more sense. You don't have to quite stress getting your lower guys through the cut. I mean, I think that at the end of it, there's so many good guys in these top two tiers that I'm just trying to play the guys that I think are going to do well. But yeah, I think taking a few more risks and shot, you don't have to worry about getting that 6 out of 6 through the cut is the really big difference for me.
How about you, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, with a smaller field, the pricing is thrown off from what we see week to week. Where now kind of guys that were normally in the 8,000s or 9,000s are down in the 7s, and our favorite kind of mid-tier guys are now sleepers this week. So it's sort of tempting to build that stars and scrub method that Scott's saying. And I also think just this edition is different because of that Olympics coming before it. I do find myself as I was taking a look at this, for better or worse, I mean, this is a great field, so you got to draw some lines somewhere. So I found myself, in general, with a couple exceptions, fading the guys from Tokyo. And it may come back
Makes
around.
sense.
I mean, I realize these guys aren't flying, coach on American Airlines back from Tokyo, but I think overall, that's a big ask. So there'll be a couple guys that I still am in on, but overall, I'm kind of fading the Olympians and going for the guys that are maybe just coming off the Open and are well rested.
Nothing against your fine state of Texas, but if they're flying coach in American, they'd still be stranded in DFW. But just
for sure,
especially with all the fun they've had this summer. But
it's a Whataburger in the lounge anyway, so it's
that's trade-offs and all. But yeah, okay. Well, let's just jump right into it here. Let's jump on this top tier. First of all, 6 guys in 5 digits, and I know that's an arbitrary cutoff point, but we always make it anyhow because there is another golfer at 99. But 6 guys, starting with the British Open champ Colin Morikawa at 11,000. No longer ever a bargain. 11,000 for him. Xander at 10.8, Brooks at 10.6, Jordan Spieth at 10.4, Dustin Johnson 10.2, and Rory McIlroy at 10,000. Jeff, we'll start with you. Since you're fading, I assume you're fading Olympic champ Xander and Colin Morikawa, part of that grouping there, amalgamation at the top of the Olympics. I guess you're fading those guys, right?
Well, if you're going to go off the top tier, you're only going to be able to pick 1 or 2 guys. So it feels a little bit foolish to fade Morikawa, who's been really the best golfer probably on the planet this year. Doesn't feel that crazy to fade Xander, since we're still talking about a guy who's now won 1 time since the 2019 Tournament of Champions, and plus you got the gold medal afterglow. So, but my eyes go right to Brooks Koepka off the top tier. I mean, he's got success at this event. I think he's a win and a tie for second the last 2 times out, or To me, I start right there with Brooks, and I start building my team. Jordan Spieth's also tempting. Scrambling appears to be a stat that plays well at this course. Got smaller greens than normal, so if you're not hitting them, you got to get up and down to save yourself. So I go to Koepka first, and then Spieth off this tier.
How about you, Scott?
Yeah, I love Brooks this week too. I mean, Jeff mentioned first and second here, and he shows up for big events. You know, this is and you look at his history, and WGCs for him appear to be big events, plays pretty well in them. Gained in tee to green and approach the last 4 weeks. I think at 10-6, he's going to be popular. I think everybody kind of goes to him. I think a lot of people will do the cross off some of the Olympic guys, but Morikawa is just, I mean, Jeff mentioned the best golfer in the world. He's gained more than 7 shots tee to green in 7 of his last 8 tournaments. Just an insane number. Counting the Olympics, the last 8 tournaments, top 20 in all 8, 6 top 10s. I mean, it's not that he's just making cuts and doing well. He's actually competing every single week. So if you want to go up to 11,000, I'm good there. But I actually kind of like Rory again at 10,000. He's gained more than 4 shots on approach in the last 4 tournaments. Fade since the missed cut at the Masters, he has 2 top 10s, made 5 straight cuts. I just think if he putts average, he's there. And I kind of like a lesser putter on a course of such small greens. I think that around the green and your iron play is really going to play in here a little more than the putter. So I think it's time. I think Rory's so due for that big win. I think at WGC would do it. So I'm at Brooks and Rory in this range at the moment.
Are you considering going 2 in this range?
I'm considering going 2 above 9,700 and above. I'll put it that way.
Okay, fair enough.
So close enough to say yes to your question, but I really like Viktor Hovland this week, so that's why I answered it that way.
And the turnabout is, could you consider going 0 in this range?
Yeah, there's enough guys in the 9s. I love the 9s. There's enough guys in the 8s that could contend. I think that a balanced build of 4 guys in the 8s and 9s works really well too. I think there's a lot of different ways to build when we get these really elite fields.
When we last saw Dustin Johnson, he was skulking off the 18th green on Friday after just a miserable back 9. And maybe I'm just hyper focused on him because I have him in our season-long league, as I may have belabored that point. I take it. I thought it was noteworthy. He didn't play the Olympics, and neither of you were still on him at all. That was just not a factor.
He'd probably be my 3rd choice off this tier. I mean, he's had success at this track as well, and that it's when he's on, his game would shape up well. I just don't know. I don't know that he's on right now, even with the rest.
He's not.
It just. He's a guy, certainly he can find it in a week. This is a course where maybe this could be a get right week for him. But I still just lean towards the other guys in the tier myself.
Yeah, I mean, he's DJ. He can turn it on at any point. He finished 8th at the Open Championship. But I just, I look at numbers and current form on a lot of these guys, and really nothing jumps off the page at DJ. He hasn't gained more than 2.4 shots gain and approach in 8 straight tournaments. It's just, I don't know. He's not playing as well as normal, and he's DJ. He can always turn it on. But if I'm going to pay up the top there, I want someone who's playing really well lately.
I hear you. All right, let's go to the next tier. Justin Thomas, 9,900. Viktor Hovland, 97. Scott, you already alluded to him. Louis Oosthuizen, 96. Bryson, 95. That's as cheap as we've seen him recently. Hideki is at 94. Patrick Cantlay, 93. Berger, 92. Scheffler, 91. Casey, 9,000. These loaded fields usually see Casey a little cheaper, but he's been good enough lately that paying up at least a little bit for him. Scott, why don't you tackle this tier first?
Yeah, I love this price range. I'm going to try and get multiple guys in here. I love Viktor Hovland. I know he did play Olympics, but shot a 64 last round. Gained in tee to green approach 4 straight tournaments. He's off a 12th at the British Open. I think Viktor's due for a big win coming up here too, and I think this is a good spot for it. Then I jump down to I like Daniel Berger a lot. 1,900. We talk about guy that loves the course. He won here in 2016 and 2017 before it was a WGC when it was just the FedEx or just the St Jude. But he's gained in shot gains approach in 9 straight tournaments. He finished top 10 the U.S. Open and the British Open in the last 3 tournaments, the Open Championship. Sorry to anybody that gets offended by that. But usually look at Berger. He's made 8 straight cuts. 4 of those are top 20s. 3 of those are top 10s. I think at 9,200, I think he's priced a little bit lower than I would have thought he would be at.
Berger was the first name I circled off the tier. 2 wins at this event. You could make a case, given the track record that Scott just pointed out, he might be playing better golf now than he was back when he won here 2 times. So I think for me, he was an automatic, as I'm just picking guys off tiers and trying to build around. For me, it was a build around Koepka, build around Berger. Just can't ignore the track record. And I do wonder about Patrick Cantlay here. Another guy rested. It's going to be hot and muggy in Memphis. He's got a power game. He's got a dour demeanor that would fit well on a humid, miserable afternoon in Memphis in August. We talk about him a lot. We just can't seem to figure this guy out. Where he seems like a guy that you feel like the breakthrough is coming, but it never quite happens. I don't know. I could see him this week, and also again in my kind of Fade Olympics plan, Scotty Scheffler is another guy who's just playing great golf all summer long. And he's another, you just say he's due to win. I mean, Cantlay does have more wins than Scheffler, but Scheffler's due to break through at one of these events soon. Maybe this week.
Scheffler didn't cash at the Schwab, but starting with the PGA, 8th, 3rd, 7th, 47th in the Travelers, and then 8th again at the Open Championship. I mean, my eye was drawn to him first before anybody else. I love him this week.
It's wild that the two bad finishes are like kind of lesser events too. Like he's been showing up really well in the big events, and just because we're in this range, the other guy, like I like Paul Casey. You mentioned might be a little more expensive than used to, but I mean he's hitting the ball really well. He's gained significantly tee to green and approach last 4 tournaments. Finished 15th at the British, and then what was he, top 15 or so the Olympics? I know he faded a little bit towards the end, wasn't in there, but was
tied for
right,
4th. Yeah,
it was right there. He was out of that like the bronze medal thing, right? But he was right there the whole tournament. 2 top 10s last 4, 3 top 20s. He is a guy that traveled with the Olympics, so maybe you worry about that a little bit. But I think 9,000. I think it's a good spot for him. I do like Scheffler too. There's like 4 guys in the 9s I like, and we didn't even mention Louis, who finishes in the top 3 every single week.
Yeah, I like Louis. He's a good man. The thing about, and Len, our colleague Len Hochberg made the point in his column, Louis had another heartbreaking 2nd place finish in a major, flies all the way to Minnesota next week to honor his commitment to the 3M, finishes 2nd there, closes strong on Sunday. I mean, the guy's been awesome this year.
So many guys do that and then go like 73, 76 and miss the weekend and go home.
Yeah.
You got to give a lot of props for that.
Agreed. I love his game this year. It's been fun to watch.
Yeah.
Before we hit the 8,000s and below, a quick note from our Blue Wire sponsors. Okay, we are back previewing the WGC FedEx in formerly known as the St Jude, which is formerly known as the Danny Thomas Classic in Memphis. Although I think they've changed courses since then. But one thing about Southwind, it's. Excuse me. Is it Southwind still that they're playing at?
Yep.
Yeah, it is Southwind. What type of player does well here before we start breaking down the 8,000s? Jeff, start with you.
Well, I looked up. I had to go back and see because I remember it was Justin Thomas last year, and then I knew Koepka's history, and I started thinking power. But no, it's really more of that tee to green. So which is another reason why I didn't mention Bryson in the last segment. Is I just thought. There is that kind of blend, that overall game that seems to play here. And smallish greens, generally you'd say, okay, you de-emphasize putting, which would make you go back to Morikawa. Of course, the top is, anytime you can minimize putting, this is obviously the one and only hole, if you could even call it that in his game. So I still kind of found myself leaning towards power. It's, kind of tried and true. It plays just about everywhere, but it may be a little bit deceptive in this setup that I think it's a course where anybody can play if they're playing well.
Yeah, I'm a little less on the power this week too. Just like I just think there's you want long irons, ball striking. So I really went ball striking, shot gains, approach. There's 8 par 4s that are over 440 yards. So a lot of those like 150 to 200 approach shots that, like you said, someone like Morikawa is money at. Smallish greens again, de-emphasizing putting. So I was ball striking approach, which is probably what I do most weeks, but even more so this week.
All right. Very good. Let's tackle the 8,000s. We got Tony Finau, 89, Fitzpatrick, 88, Reed, 87, Lowry, 86, Webb Simpson, 85, Neiman, 84, podcast favorite Abraham Answer at 83, Cam Smith at 82, other podcast favorite Corey Connors, 81, where he belongs in these sort of tournaments, so we can take him every single time, and Fleetwood at 8,000. Jeff Ritter, let's start with you. What caught your eye?
I'm going to go with Matt Fitzpatrick first.
Just to be different.
Had a nice summer, rested. He's got a couple top 10s at Southwind. Like him for this week. And then I am going against the grain with my Fade the Olympics pick to still go with podcast favorite Corey Connors because he just has the tee to green game. And how can he be priced at 81 now? It's just too low. That's a bargain to me. So those were my 2 favorites off the tier.
I don't love this tier, to be honest. Usually I like the 8s. I don't really love it this week. I like the 9s. I like the 7s. But the interesting one to me is right in the middle is Webb Simpson at 8,500. He is 2nd and 12th at this course the last 2 times they've played it. Really good course for him. And we mentioned that I was, de-emphasizing length a little bit. Played really well at the Open Championship after 2 straight mitts cuts. I just don't know if the game's there. It feels like maybe this is a week it clicks in the game. Maybe he was finding it at the British and it's coming back. But at 8,500, I think he's priced at a spot where in a GPP, I do kind of like him on DraftKings just because I don't think a ton of people will gravitate towards him just because he hasn't been great lately. And then you mentioned the 2 guys that I do like. I do like Abe Answer. 6 straight top 20s if you take out the British and the U.S. Open, which obviously are U.S. Open was really
big caveat
long
there.
Yeah, but U.S. Open, we talked about Torrey, how much we like him, but it was a terrible fit for him. It was just Torrey was just way too long for him. So non-major courses, he's playing really well, and we're back at a non-major course. Finished 4th at Travelers. He did make the cut at the British Open. I guess he was 59th, but he didn't play especially well. And then Jeff mentioned Connors, but I just don't love this range. It feels like a lot of guys there's not a lot of value here. It's guys that are probably appropriately priced. I think I'm going to have a lot of 9s and a lot of 7s.
Very good. Well, let's move into those 7s. The vast middle is not so vast, so we can do them all in one fell swoop here. 79, Will Zalatoris, 78, Kokrak, Sanjay M, 77, Harris English, 76. That seems cheap. Harmon, 75, Hatton, 74, Sergio, 73, Adam Scott, 72, Billy Horschel, 71, Leishman, 71, and Ian Poulter and Justin Rose making commercials and checking in at 7,000 at the same time. Let's go Scott first on this one.
Yeah, so there's 4 guys in this range that I really like. I like Kokrak at 7,800, Harris English 7,600, Hatton 7,400. Not playing great, missed cuts at the U.S. Open and the British, but finished 18th the Scottish Open between that. But I just think when you get a guy who's 13th in the world and you can get him at 7,400, that feels to me like maybe you look back at last week, you're like, why? Or you look back at a week further, you're like, why didn't I do that? It just seems so obvious. But the guy that I really like in this range, Jeff, you like this one because he's on your team. Sergio Garcia at 7,300 is hitting the ball really, really well. He's made 4 straight cuts, all top 25s. He is terrible putting right now. He's lost strokes gained in putting in 11 of the last 12. But
sell me more.
Yeah, yes. But gained 7.2 approach at 3M and 4.5 at Torrey. His approach game is great right now. He lost 7 strokes putting at the 3M and finished 25th. That is almost impossible to do. It says how well he's hitting the ball. He's 7th in this field overall in strokes gained approach in the last 24 rounds. 3rd in this field in ball striking in the last 24 rounds. He's hitting the ball so much better than almost everybody between his range and like the $9,500 range. So when I'm gonna get that, I'm gonna take the guy who's hitting the ball well. Hope the putting is just average. And at 7,300, I not only think he can kind of make a value at that price. I think he can contend this week.
Yeah. When you mentioned Hatton, world ranking versus price, almost that's the sort of trap that almost maybe not trap, but it's what pushes you to want to take more than one lineup in there to take, because I got to get at least one lineup with them in there. But the trap is like, okay, do you mix the other parts right? Do you have your core that goes with them, or are you mixing and matching everything? But anyways, Jeff, I don't want to steal your thunder. Who do you got in this?
No,
range?
That's all right. I mean, we're aligned, Scott, on Sergio as a sneaky good pick this week. So that could be the official gaming golf sleeper of the week. The other guy off this tier that you didn't mention, I flagged Billy Horschel. Just again, strong course history. He's racked up a bunch of top 10s. Has quietly been okay this summer, but at that price, 7,100, I like it. He's rested. I'm intrigued. But Sergio is my favorite off the tier. So that is the gaming golf stamp of approval sleeper of the week.
And Jeff mentioned Harris English as he was going through there. I mean, he's made 7 straight cuts, finished 3rd at the U.S. Open. He won at Travelers. Just really nice tee to green like the last 3 or 4 tournaments. 7,600 is a really good price there. And I mentioned Kokrak at 7,800. Like last 10 tournaments, 5 top 12s. Is a guy that's contending many, many weeks. He's gained an approach in 6 of the last 7. Kind of fits everything I need. He was terrible at Torrey, but 26th at the British, 12th at the Rocket, won the Charles Schwab. I think at under 8,000, this is a guy who's playing really well right now.
Has Harris English left the 18th hole at the Travelers yet?
That was a long day at the Travelers 18th.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy. All right, let's hit the 6,000s. Find some bargains here. If we're going to load up at the top level, you need to find someone at the bottom level to make it fit. Jeff, you got anybody there?
I was trying to. The first teams I filled out, I didn't have to go into the 6,000s. I think if I was going to,
You don't have to. It's okay. You can.
I don't think so. I think I was able to do enough, but I like the 7,000 tier a lot. I love Sergio. I like Horschel. No, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Maybe Homa, 6,700.
When you decline to make a choice, you've still made a choice. It's okay.
Yeah. All right. That's as far as I can go. I'll give you Max Homa, but I think you can build a great lineup without.
He's at 67, just for the reference there, everybody. Scott, how about you?
Yeah, the guy that I have a couple names down here. I'm gonna drop on you, but the guy that I like most is Sam Burns at 6,900. He made the cut at the British, but then kind of faltered over the weekend, but was 15th at Travelers before that. He's gained an approach in 7 of the last 8. And you look at you take the whole field and you just look at the last 24 rounds. So we're looking, talking the last 6 to 8 tournaments, depending on how many times he made the cut. He's 15th in the field in shot gains approach in the entire field, and he's 20th in ball striking. So this is a guy that is really doing well for the price in the 2 things that I'm really looking at, the 2 stats I'm really looking at. So I like Burns at 6,900. If you want to go pure dart and you want to really save some money and get different, at 6,000, we got Wilco Niedeber, who is the guy that hits the ball about 700 yards off the tee. He's made the cut in all 3 of his events on the PGA Tour. There is no cut this week. He's a guy that can make eagles, can make scores. And in DraftKings, you make a couple bogeys, you make a couple birdies, that's better than making all pars. So he might be all over the place, but he can score well in DraftKings. He's huge off the tee, gain strokes off the tee in all 3 of his tournaments on the PGA Tour, made 3 cuts, playing pretty well. And it'd be really fun to own and, turn on Saturday and be able to watch him hit some drives. So if you want to save a bunch of money and you want to go really high up top at 6,000, he's min price. I think he's playable.
All right.
I
Very
like
good.
that. I like that. Too bad DraftKings doesn't have a game that just pays out per yard driven.
No doubt. He'd be a monster. He'd be like 10-6 though, if that was the case.
Yeah, he and Bryson. But yeah, exactly. Well, Bryson usually is paid up at that level. I just think it's funny. You guys basically had nothing to say about Bryson, which is just, and that not as a critique of you guys, but just it's so out of character for the news cycle that's been in the last 36 months on the PGA Tour. So it's kind of wild to see that. The last time we saw a champion on the PGA Tour is Cameron Champ. He's at 6,700. Any thoughts on him?
Yeah, he putted out of his ass to win that tournament. It drives me nuts because I had Johnny Vegas and he finished.
Gotcha.
He gained 8.5 strokes putting. I mean, insane. He played really well that Sunday. He was the best player in the field that Sunday. I get it. He played well, but he won at 3M. He was 11th at John Deere, but then missed 4 cuts prior to that. I'm not buying in. I feel like we missed that boat, and I'm not getting back on it now.
Yeah.
My only thought back to Bryson. I mean, do we know where he's been since testing positive for COVID? How's he even allowed to play in this event? What's he been doing? Where's he? I don't know.
Did he test positive or did he have contact tracing? What did he actually test positive? I don't know.
I believe tested positive.
I mean, the answer is at his house trying to increase his swing speed on that big machine he has, right?
Yep.
Yeah, probably doing.
And it was a positive test.
Does he go anywhere else? I don't think so.
For that matter, same question about Rahm.
Rahm's not in the field. Yeah, Rahm is.
Rahm. That's why we haven't mentioned.
He's also had COVID all summer, so it's
Rahm and Bezadenhout are the only 2 guys in the top 50 that aren't playing.
Yeah, that's right. Silly. This is why I'm just a talking head and not the analyst here. So we'll move on there. But all right. So let's move on to the betting sheet. We've discussed and then we'll hit up one and done as we finish here. Let's go Jeff Ritter first. Who do you got on your betting sheet?
I'm going Matt Fitzpatrick at 30-1 on golf odds. I like that. I showed Daniel Berger at 20 to 1 odds. I like that even more. And contractually obligated for one more Corey Connors plug at least before the end of the summer. 50-1. I mean, 50-1. I'm in.
So I'm going 2 guys at the top, but not in the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, not in the top 6. There's 6 guys that are under 20-1. I'm going to drop just behind that range. I'm going to take Rory at 22-1, 9th highest odds on the board. Anytime you give me Rory at 9th highest, I don't care what he's done. I'm going to jump on that every time. 22-1, I'm taking that for sure. And then I'm going Victor Hovland at 25-1. I think it's time for him to hit a big win. I think this is a good chance this week. Then with 2 guys kind of near the top, I'm going to drop back towards the middle. Terrell Hatton, 55-1, I think is just too high of a price for a guy who's 13th in the world. So I'm going to fall in the Jeff Erickson trap there. I'm going to bet Hatton in addition to playing him on DraftKings. Corey Connors, 55-1. I'm with Jeff on that one. I think the odds are too high. And then I'm going Sergio at 70-1. I think that the price is too high. I think he's going to contend. I think he's going to be in the mix. 70-1 will be a very fun. We can get him as a runner on the back nine on Sunday in the mix somewhere at 70-1. Be a lot of fun. So those are probably going to be my five tickets right there.
Very good. I like it. Let's close out with one and done. We might be running low on options. That's always one of the things that's kind of tricky. Look at, especially the field like this, you try to use the top names. Like I can't use Hovland if I wanted to even. I can't use Morikawa. Who are you using in your one and done? Scott, you go first.
It's a tough call, right? Because I think I want to go Sergio, but I have DJ, Bryson, Louis, and Spieth available, and there's only like 5 tournaments left in our one and done, so I probably need to just use one of the big names unless I want to make sure that I have guys for the last couple rounds. But I don't think we do the Tour Championship, which is top 30, so you don't have to save somebody for that. So I'm either going to go Sergio and just kind of go for it, or I'm going to play Spieth if I don't play Sergio.
Jeff?
I've got Berger available. I've also
got
got Rory available for some reason, but I'm going to go with Berger. And I've got Rory on my season-long fantasy league, so if he wins, I'm happy there anyway. I'm not going to win anything in this one-and-done pool anyway. It's just
you're
out of the basement at this point.
Your brother's like way up there, right? Second place, maybe?
Brother is, he's had the touch this year. I've discussed it with him. He almost doesn't even. It's like talking to a pitcher with a no-hitter going. I was like, I don't want to talk about it. I just don't. Yeah. Even doesn't want to hear the players that I'm suggesting. Just wants none of it. Just wants to stay in his lane. So he's doing really well.
That's
nice. He's doing well, but Tim Schuler is in like a universe to himself in that pool. It's crazy how good he's doing.
Monster this year in there.
Yeah. I still have DJ left. I still have Louis and Cantlay left, but I'm going to go with the guy I mentioned earlier. Going with Scotty Scheffler here. He breaks through and gets the W this time.
I like that pick. I don't have him available. I would consider that one too.
Yeah. So, and I still have Casey left. I don't think I'll ever use him, but I'm probably gonna go the whole year without using DJ. I'm so sick of him. But anyways, and which means next year he's gonna win like the first event, as long as it's not in Saudi Arabia again. But we'll see.
What is DJ's auction price in our league next year? It was you got him for 40 something?
54, I think 54, and that was like the lowest high priced player ever.
So what is he, 46 next year? What is he, less than
something like that? Yeah. We should mention, by the way, they're not going to be allowed to play Saudi next year unless they break off the tour entirely, which may start something new as far as we know. They might actually break off. We'll see. But that's a whole nother issue. And he's been talking about that, which great. He's got his eye on the ball. Great. Good job, DJ. But not better.
Is Morikawa the highest priced guy in our auction next year?
Yeah.
I'd say Rahm, but it's close.
Oh, yeah, Rahm. Yeah, one of the two for sure. They're 1-2 for sure. One way or the other.
Yeah, for sure.
Makes sense.
Any parting thoughts, guys, before we sign off?
Is your next podcast fantasy football? I would sign off with a fantasy football question because we're getting into the draft season. I've got 2 experts in front of me here. I'm
guesting on a fantasy football one at 7:30 Eastern tonight, so that'll conclude my tour.
But ask it for sure.
In a vacuum, as this is a keeper league, Austin Eckler or Saquon Barkley?
PPR?
Do you get to keep
half point? Half point at the keeper. You keep for 2 years. So
I said you keep only for you keep for 2 years after 2021 and 2022.
Yeah,
Barkley.
Same. I have my reservations about the knee with Barkley, but I have concerns about Eckler lasting, and it's a half point, not a full point PPR, which works against Eckler too. So give me Barkley.
All right.
Okay. I just think you want Barkley in 2022 for sure.
So there you have it. All right. You never know where you're going to finish on this wild and crazy edition of the Gaming Golf
for the next 4 weeks because I'm doing my research here. I got drafts coming up, so it's good.
Rotowire.com/try. Get you a free 10-day trial, Jeff. You get access to everything on the site, including Chris Liss's rankings on our cheat sheet. So you should check that out. Or you could just get access to the site and we'd give it to you. But, regardless, either way.
I'll just ask you.
Yeah, you could do that too. It might take a little longer. All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening to Gaming Golf this week. Good luck on your lineups. Good luck on your betting sheets and your one and dones. We'll talk to you again next week. Take care.